While designing a character, the first thing I do is gather a lot of relevant references and then I start sketching. I use paper and pencil because it helps me keep things loose and not worry about details and making a pretty picture. At this stage, I'm thinking of their backstory, their fear, their strength, their weaknesses, their motivations, and their overall personality. This helps me narrow down design a little bit. Once I have enough ideas, I start creating variations of silhouettes by changing up their proportion and their shape language. At this stage, I'm not worrying about the details again, I'm concentrating on the readability of the overall silhouette and how they stand out. For a character design, the face is very, very important. So it's a good rule of thumb to, create multiple head sketches separately. At this stage, you can be a little more specific with your design and your details, like what kind of skin tone they have, what are they wearing, what if they are wearing any jewelries or not, do they have scars on their face or not, and their overall vibe. Out of the different heads I created, I liked this guy a lot, so I started creating rest of the body around him. At this point, we are kind of getting closer to the final design of the character, so I'm being more intentional behind my choices. I'm looking at the different silhouettes I had created earlier and using different elements I liked from them and mixing and matching and putting them all here. I'm also taking care of any major design or pose changes at this point, like the shoulder pad was too simple and too big, and the hand position was not working, and stuff like that. So once I have a sketch, I start doing a cleanup line art version. So this stage is kind of optional in a sense. Some people prefer to directly go for colors, but I find it easier to do a proper line art before doing the colors because I'm solving all my design problems at this stage and do all the detailing here so that I don't have to do any of the guesswork in the painting stage. So one thing to notice here is while I do the final inking, I keep all the major body parts in different layers. This becomes very helpful when I do the coloring and it also lets me do minor adjustments as I need to. It is always a good idea to complete the entirety of your limbs even if they are covered by something else. Inking is a time taking process, so be patient with it and don't hurry it. So once I have the line art ready, I start blocking the colors. For the shadows, I create another layer on top of the color layer and put it in multiply mode. Then I choose a color which is not very dark, somewhere in a mid tone to lighter range, and start blocking in the color. You might not get the color that you want right away, so feel free to experiment as much as you want with the colors. You may also want to try changing the color for the shadows for different objects and see what works better. You might have noticed that I just changed the neck's position because he was looking too hunched. It wasn't looking too off in the just the head sketch, but it kind of was bothering me a lot. I felt the head was looking a little empty. The horns were not working, so I decided to add another set of horns right behind because obviously you can never have enough horns. I noticed that he definitely looks better without the cape covering his hand, so I decided to get rid of it and use a back cape instead. So now that the shell shaded version is almost ready, it's time to render. With the shell shaded version done, the rendering should be straightforward. Okay, not really, it's never straightforward. But you can start by blending in the shadows with the lighter areas, adding mid tones, and softening the edges. While rendering, I'm constantly looking at different references for different materials and observing how the light reflects and reacts on different surfaces. This is very important for rendering objects convincingly. With the rendering almost complete, I do some final touch ups and then add some highlights and do a final color grading. Finally, add a simple background and fade off the areas that are not in focus. And that will be all. Thank you for watching. Boy.